Let's talk about how I'm a teacher and am broke. Not enough teachers get paid little, kind of broke. No, like I have no money. Like, well, we're gonna talk about that. Do I have no money at all? Right? But like, I don't make what an average employed teacher makes. I don't earn according to how I work. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna put it. So in 2013 I did a course, PGCE, and then I qualified to be a teacher registered with SACE, which is South African Council of Educators. And then I started looking for a job as a teacher, abandoned the idea of working in a construction industry, even though I have a construction qualification. And then I'll do a video on, maybe I do have a video. I think I have a video already. Maybe I'll keep it. Maybe I won't delete it because I'll be deleting videos. So what happened was, I then looked for a job. In 2015, I landed at a school in a rural area that I used to live in. But I went to primary school, but this was a high school where I taught maths literacy, right? I started in grade 12. Now, mind you, I had never, ever seen the subject before. Like I had to learn it at that point. But I actually studied pure mathematics, so it wasn't going to be that difficult, but it is not easy to learn a new subject, even if it's based on a subject you know. So that's what I did. And I worked there earning 3,000 Rand a month, right? This was a big change for me. It was huge. I went from having no income to having 3,000 Rand a month. I could pay my rent, I could buy groceries, I could buy clothes for myself. I could travel from home from the Eastern Cape, since the school is at the Eastern Cape, to KZN and not ask anybody anything. It made me completely independent, and I'm grateful for that. It also came with a lot of stress. And one of those stresses was I was constantly always studying the subject, and I wanted to be comfortable, so that I wanted to know the subject very well so that I can be comfortable in the classroom, especially since I struggle with communicating with people, being in crowds. And I thought, if I know the subject, it'll make things easier. And I was right about that. So later on, what happened was I couldn't stay anymore there. They started having their own in-school politics. If you've ever taught at a school, you would know, especially in South African school. I don't know in other countries, but people are always having their own in-school issues, right? So I was like, okay, it was time to go. And I left with no job. I wasn't going to any job. I went back to KZN and stayed with my mother. No job, no plan, nothing. That's when I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. Oh, I was down and out. Oh, you know, I went from earning a bit of money to nothing. And I think that humbled me. The fact that I went from nothing and then earned 3,000 Rand for about 2 years. And then I ended up being back in the situation that I was before the 3,000 Rand. So it made me realize 3,000 Rand compared to nothing is a lot of money. It's 3,000 more than nothing. And that's when I was like, that's it. I'm going back out there. I'm going to go look for a school. Hopefully I'll find something. And that's when I went to Gauteng. Packed my bags and I went to Gauteng. My aim was, in Gauteng, there's even private schools, a lot of them. So I need to be going from school to school, asking them to hire me. I spent 2 days that were full in Gauteng. Actually in Johannesburg. No, let me not say Gauteng, because Gauteng is a province. In Johannesburg. I spent 2 days in Johannesburg. I couldn't move around without being accompanied because I had traveling anxieties. I do have traveling anxieties, But when I'm in small towns, when I'm in rural towns, I can get from point A to point B without like being frustrated. When I was in Johannesburg, it was like, no, I can never stay here. Because whenever I need to go somewhere, I should be accompanied. This is not going to work. Called my mother and said, plan A has failed. I need to go back home and come up with plan B. Then I said, Gauteng, bye. Now, I don't know Gauteng well, so I don't know if there are small towns in Gauteng. I don't know if there were rural areas. And even if there are, I stayed with somebody in Johannesburg, which means if I was going to go look for a school, like ask principals to hire me in the rural areas in Gauteng, I would have to move from Joburg. I cannot move in Joburg. I'm scared of Joburg. The thought. Okay, so then plan B was like, okay, do I go to Mpumalanga first or do I go to Eastern Cape? Because I was like, those are the two places I'm thinking I'm going to. I made a list of the provinces that were rural because I needed to not go to cities. And I made a list and I said, okay, there's Mpumalanga, there is Limpopo, there is Eastern Cape, all three of them. Which one, Asanda, are you going to go to? Oh, that's my name. Which one am I going to go to? I said, okay. Someone said, start with Eastern Cape. And then I went to the Eastern Cape. Started straight from the Mtamvuna River. The Mtamvuna River separates KZN with Eastern Cape. And since I live close to the Mtamvuna River, I live about nearly an hour away from, no, less than an hour away from the Mtamvuna River. So I decided that I'm going to start with the schools that are right there at the beginning. Took me a long time. It cost my mother dearly because I had not saved when I was working. A lesson that I learned. This is a lesson. Pay attention to that. When I was earning 3,000 Rand a month, I was able to have extra cash, but I never saved it. I always wasted it. So when it was time for me to look for a job, I didn't have money. I was going back home and being funded. So now what happens is